Welcome to this week's What's for Dinner video. My name is Ashley. I'm going to be showing you 3 different meals I made this past week. I don't always follow recipes exactly, but if you're interested, I've linked some similar recipes down below. So the first dinner I'm going to be showing you, I made a steak fettuccine alfredo. This is my first time making a fettuccine alfredo with steak, and I think it turned out really well. So I'm starting off by grilling my petite sirloin. This is my new always pan that I got for my birthday, so I'm very excited to be using it. So I'm just going to grill all the sides, make sure they're nice and brown, and then I'm going to use a meat thermometer to check the temperature that I wanted it to be at. I believe I wanted my steak at about medium. So once the steak was done, I just set it aside to rest, and now I'm going to work on my sauce. That's also not the lid for this pan, but I just like see-through lids. So again, I'm just going to begin working on the sauce. I'm just melting half a stick of butter, and I've just sprinkled in some onion powder. I could have chopped up onion, but I did not want to do that. Now I'm going to add in a spoonful of garlic and just saute this all together. Next, I'm going to add in my heavy whipping cream. I don't measure this stuff out. I just kind of base it off how much pasta I'm making, and I'm making half a box of fettuccine noodles, which is actually boiling right now as I cook this. So once this heats up and starts simmering, I'm going to add in my Parmesan cheese. I am going to try to keep this more of just a white sauce, so not adding too many different seasonings. So once the sauce is just about done, I'm just going to add in a little bit of salt to taste, and this sauce will be ready to go. So I'm going to strain my fettuccine noodles and toss it into the pasta sauce. So I'm just going to mix everything together. I did not need to add any pasta water because this was plenty of sauce, and it was pretty thin, not too thick either. So once the steak has cooled down a bit, I just went ahead and chopped it up into slices. This is how everything looked when it was done. I just cooked some broccoli on the side, and this turned out really well. The next dinner I'm going to be showing you is my little rendition of Arroz con pollo, which just means rice with chicken. So I'm just starting out with my chicken. I just cut up 2 chicken breasts into strip-like form, and now I'm just going to season with all my favorite Mexican spices: taco seasoning, onion powder, cumin, garlic salt. So next, I'm just going to work on browning my chicken. What I'm about to do is not how you actually cook chicken, but because I wasn't worried about cooking it all the way through, I am just placing it all together. So once it got nice and brown on the one side, then I just went ahead and flipped it. The smell of this chicken cooking with all the Mexican spices was just so good. So then I just went ahead and removed the chicken to a clean plate, and now I'm going to work on the rice. So to the same pan, I just added in some minced garlic and 1 cup of rice, and I'm just going to toast this up. Next, I'm going to add in my seasoning, so I'm adding 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and half a teaspoon of cumin. So next, I'm going to add in my tomato sauce. I almost used the whole can this time because I wanted a lot of broth. So next I'm going to add in my water. I'm adding in 2 cups of water, 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon powder, and 1 teaspoon of tomato bouillon powder. So next I'm just going to add in all of my chicken, place them all down, and the chicken will finish cooking with the rice while it's cooking. So now I just put the lid on it and let it simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes. This is how it looks when it starts finishing up, so I'm just going to go in and break a couple of chicken pieces and stir it around. If I had like a bag of frozen peas and carrots, I would have probably added it to the broth. This is how everything looked when it was done. I just served it with some flour tortillas and some broccoli. The last dinner I'm going to be showing you was my experimental night. I tried to make pupusas with beans and cheese. So I'm starting out with my masa flour, I believe that's what it's called, and I'm just going to make it as the instructions say. Next, I do want to try making my own corn tortillas. I feel like I need that tortilla press. So next I'm just going to work on assembling the pupusas. This was definitely not an easy task, so kudos to everyone who actually does this right. So I just broke off a little bit and I made it into a ball, and basically I'm just going to scoop in some beans and cheese and try to close it. So I'm just going to repeat this step for all of my pupusas. Next time I do want to try to make this with shredded chicken or something like that and see how that turns out. So lastly, I'm just going to cook my pupusas. So to my pan, I just sprayed a little bit of olive oil spray. I'm just going to cook this up. These were definitely kind of weird to cook. I feel like I couldn't tell when they were done. So I just cooked them until they were nice and brown on one side, and then I would just flip them, make sure all the dough was kind of cooked through, and I believe it was done. These were pretty large, so I gave my husband 2 of them, and then I just ate 1 of them. These definitely don't sizzle or anything, so it was kind of hard to tell if they were cooking. I also like to sprinkle both sides with a little bit of salt, just because this corn flour doesn't really have any seasoning or any salt, so you want to kind of give it a little bit of flavor. This is how everything looked when it was done. I just served it with some cream on top, some salsa and avocado. Thank you so much for watching this week's What's for Dinner video. Make sure you come back next week for another one.